Hi, everyone. It's Ken. And welcome to this week's live stream. Today, I'm going to focus in on a free class that I'm going to be beginning soon. I'm going to be beginning soon, which is called Exploring Divine Resonance. And I actually want to change up our order or our sequence of things just for today's time together so that I can first focus on the class, explain a little bit about it, play a video ad, a little 60-second ad that I put together earlier this week for the class that might help summarize it even more effectively than my explanation and exploration of it here as we begin time together. And then I'll answer any questions that you have about the class. P.S. This is a free online class that I'm going to be offering, and you can participate in the class. Before I even talk about it, let me just tell you, you can participate in the class one of two ways. You can participate here on my YouTube channel, and I realize that this is right now live streaming out also over Periscope on Twitter and on my Facebook professional page. But going forward, starting next week, this live stream will only be available on my YouTube channel. So I really encourage you to become a subscriber to the channel first and foremost. And if you look at the description below the video, you can click the first link in that description and that'll turn you into a subscriber. You don't have to be a subscriber, but I'd love for you to be a subscriber if you're interested in continuing to receive the material that comes up on the channel and to participate in the class. So that's way number one. The second way to participate in this class is to add your name and your email address on a opt-in page. And I'll actually put up the link right now on the screen here so you can see it, exploringdivineresonance.com. And I will also, let me see if I can cut and paste it into the description. This is where that redirects to. So that is actually up on the chat function on whichever platform you're on, so you can see how to opt into the class. If you add your name and email address to the form on that page, what will end up happening is that you'll actually be able to participate in the live class as it unfolds. And what I mean by that is that you'll actually be able to interact with me. I'm going to switch platforms from the platform I'm using right now, which is called StreamYard. Probably doesn't matter to you, but I'm streaming on StreamYard right now, which allows us to interact exclusively through comments that you leave on the YouTube page in the comments field during the live, and then after when you're watching the replay below the comments, and then I can come interact with you. But that also works on Twitter and on Facebook. I can see those comments that come in with a few second delay. But actually, with the new platform, those comments aren't going to come through to me. So one of the ways that you'll be able to interact with me by adding your name and email address to participate in this class, which again, it's free, is you'll be able to comment with me, but you'll actually also be able to get on video. During the Q&A, you'll be able to add yourself to the video stream and reflect, ask a question, share from your perspective, and so on. And of course, everyone who's participating on YouTube will see all of that. If you're on YouTube, you won't be able to interact with me. So anyway, I'll get more into that in just a second, but I wanted to make sure those links are there. Let me just explain a little bit what my motivation is for the class. But first, I want to explain what this class is and what it isn't. And I actually want to start with what it's not, which is kind of a weird way to talk about a class. But I think oftentimes when there's a spiritual class, there are all these. I see this. I don't know if you see this as well or if this resonates with you, but oftentimes there can be this huge claim that's made. Come participate in this class and solve all your problems. And listen, I think that's possible. I think it is possible to solve all your problems, but probably not in the way most people perceive that statement, and probably not in the way most people mean it. So one thing I can tell you about this class is that it is not a magic answer to all the challenges that we face as human beings, or all the challenges of the last year, of the pandemic, and so on. This is not an exploration of what some people would refer to as conspiracy theories about what's going on, or other people might be offended or triggered by that word, whatever. It's not an exploration of that. This is not an opportunity to explore your life story or why things are happening the way they are and going into that story and being supported in it. This class is an opportunity for you to shift into a being experience of the divine within. And I'm approaching this class from a very different perspective than I ever have before. First of all, I'm teaching, or I'm sharing, or we'll be exploring together in a way that I have never before taught. Oftentimes I'll receive inspiration for a class, and then I'll sit down and I'll sort of receive the each class's topic and kind of as a divine download, and then I can look at that and then I understand, yep, on this week we're going to focus on this, and this week we're going to focus on this. And from that, maybe I build a list of things, participate in this class and you'll learn how to X, Y, and Z. But I can't make that claim in this class, although I did receive what I consider to be some profound inspiration to offer it. I'm really wanting to step into a empty space with the class. What I mean by that is a place that is not populated by my ideas about what should happen in the class. And I also am going to invite you to not populate the class with your ideas about what the class should be, and just to open up to the experience. And I want to give you an example of why this might be a meaningful thing for you to engage in, never mind why it's meaningful for me to do this. If you think about an example of a time in your life when something that you thought you understood started to unfold, maybe, for example, the first time you fell wildly in love, just head over heels in love. You thought you knew what was going to happen ahead of time. You thought you understood what would happen, I'm guessing, right? But actually, what began to unfold was something entirely different, wasn't it? And it wasn't something that was coming from your thoughts. You weren't having these thoughts. Da 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 da. Now I'm wildly in love. I'm going to fall head over heels in love. And even though there was strong emotion and feeling associated with it, it wasn't an experience that originated at the level of feeling. That you had feelings as a result of the experience. Maybe your stomach did flips or whatever your experience was, right? But it was even deeper than that. It was informed by the experience itself. The experience was what unfolded first. And that's what I most want to explore in this new class. I would love for us to come together in a circle, and it's a virtual circle, right? You're participating wherever you are in the world in one of these two ways. You can add your name and email address and participate in the Zoom call. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want. Just participate on the audio line. It doesn't matter whether you have your camera on or not. You can ask questions without putting your camera on. Okay, I know we're dealing with a lot of Zoom fatigue and all of this stuff right now. That's not the reason why I'm using Zoom. Zoom gives us a way of interacting and sharing that simply isn't available, for example, on this platform. It gives us a way of interacting via audio and so on, which we can't do here directly on YouTube. Okay, so back to the point. If we can get into, in this virtual circle, whether you're participating in live stream or in the actual circle itself, get into a place where we're opening to an experience of divine presence and the resonance that kind of blossoms up as a result of that. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Then I think we can have a different conversation, but we're going to have a totally different experience. And the experience isn't even going to be predicated on our ability to comprehend what is unfolding. We may want to try to talk about it. We may compare it. There may be questions. This is a sensation that came up in my body. I wonder what that means. Da 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 da. Whatever the stuff is that's showing up in the circle. But the first place that we're going to really open to that encounter when we sink to that deeper level is on an experiential level. And so it's a bit of a paradox, right? I'm going to talk or teach for a little bit, and then we're going to open into the experience. And we can talk more about that if you have questions about it. I mean, in in a quick summary, what I would say is the reason for that is that oftentimes just moving into the unknown without some preparation for it intellectually at the level of understanding, at least initially, can be very, very challenging because at the level of experience, if we're just going into raw experience, it could be a mystical experience or any kind of experience. There's this tendency to want to understand first, right? To know that, and at some level, maybe there's a question about safety or security, or am I still present? Am I still participating on all these kinds of levels? So this is really the sort of the one of the driving motivations for me in offering this class in this format. And then one of the reasons why I don't want to sort of set up the sequence of the classes, first of all, I don't know how long this class is going to go on. And I don't mean like the time for each session of the class. That's pretty well defined. I think that we'll open and, that might take 10 minutes and then I'll share on something and that might take 10 or 15 or maybe 20 minutes. And then we'll drop into transmission together on a deeper level. And maybe we'll be in silence for 15 or 20 minutes there. And then we'll open into a Q&A, an interactive kind of space. And maybe we're there for 20 or 30 minutes. So I don't know, add that all up. Maybe it's an hour 15, an hour 20. Maybe it runs to an hour and a half or something if there's a lot of conversation going on and there's an exploration that's unfolding. But it's not going to be longer than that. One of the other advantages of registering for the class is that you'll get each segment as a separate video and audio segment that you can actually download and utilize for your own private use. And you'll also get the transcripts of the class. Now, I want to be clear, it's machine transcripts, and I'm not going to try to fluff and buff the transcript to make it look a certain way. I'm just going to convert the raw output and print it as a PDF, and then it'll be available in my online learning platform for everyone who's registered for the class to download. In any case, in those segments, we've got, 60 to 90 minutes together. But how many sessions will be in the class? It's a great question. And I'm completely open to how that will unfold. I'm not attached to the idea that this is going to be a 3-session class or a 5 or a 10 or a 15. I have no idea. I'm just going to be with it as it unfolds. And on a deeper level, I'm really interested in supporting that opening that I think is available to all of us, of that direct experience of divine presence, of divine resonance. Now let's talk about that for just a minute. Well, let me circle back. So what is the class? What is it not? What it is an exploration into the unknown of divine presence. How, you might be wondering, can that happen? Maybe this is your first video. You've stumbled across the channel or somebody said, hey, you got to go check this out. And you're wondering, who is this Ken Stone character and what is he talking about? First, just a brief introduction, right? I'm a spiritual messenger. I learned of my spiritual gifts in the fall of 2007 when someone at an in-person meditation retreat wrote on a piece of paper, you should be working as a healer. And I started sobbing uncontrollably. Now, there might be a number of you who are watching this video wondering, why are you sobbing uncontrollably? And what's the big deal? You should be a healer. I feel like I should be a healer. What's the big deal? Well, for me, I didn't know what the word healer meant. I was working as a mortgage lender at the time. And second, I don't know if you have this experience, but for me, it's definitely true. When I have a visceral emotional response, it's like a truth meter or something like that. So that's a little bit about my background. I left mortgage lending behind. I stepped into the mystery of this whole thing and have been exploring it since. And it just takes me further and further into the unknown. And so when I think about experiences of divine presence, of the mystical, one of the words that comes up for me is resonance when I think about that. And the reason that word resonates with me so much is that it has a meaning for me that is intimate and meaningful, right? But I'm guessing it has a meaning for you too. And the meaning of that word might be very different for each of us. And that's what I love about the word resonance. So when I use the phrase divine resonance, I'm referring to resonance that originates from an experience of the divine. And one of the ways that we know it's an experience of divine resonance is that it is a sustaining experience. Once it's integrated and embodied, it sustains. And what I've noticed in working with people from all around the world of different backgrounds and beliefs and so on is that when we open up to that at a depth of our interior within our being and support its integration, its embodiment, and so on in the interior, the body tends to come into a state of resonance of its own accord. And eventually, when we support that in a deeper and more meaningful way, our lives come into a state of resonance in a very meaningful way as well. So that's a little bit about the language and the program or the class, what it is and what it's not. Let me just pause for a second and see if there's anything else. I think what I want to do is I want to share the 60-second video. I think that's going to be much more meaningful than anything else I could say right now. And then I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I've already put a link for how you can add your name and email address if you feel like signing up and registering for this class. I feel like there's a lot more I could say about it, but I think I want to focus and sort of target my comments to any questions you might have. So if you have anything, I really encourage you to make a comment or ask a question in the chat. If you're watching the replay, please do ask your questions in the chat below, in the comments section below the video on whatever platform, and I'll make sure I circle back and respond to you if you're not watching live. If you are watching live, I'm happy to respond here. So let's just watch. It's only 60 seconds long. Maybe this will give you an idea. I showed this to a buddy of mine who said, "Can I finally understand what it is that you do?" Here I am 13 and a half years later of doing this thing and making my living at it since 2011. And Roy's known me for a long time, and apparently this video communicated so much to him. So I hope it does the same to you. Let me just play it for you now, and then we'll come back and answer any questions you have. And then once questions are addressed, we'll drop in and do some meditation, drop into transmission together. It's an honor to be with you. I'm going to play the video now. Here we go.
A spiritual seeker. Many seekers are frustrated with the constant movement between resonance and dissonance. There's a simple reason for this. Thinking results in experiences of resonance and dissonance. Feelings are the same, but being is different. It can lead to a profound experience of the divine within, and the sustaining resonance which results radiates into every aspect of the body, mind, and life. Join me for a free online class called Exploring Divine Resonance and Open to an Experience of the Divine Within. Click the link and add your name and email to register or visit exploringdivineresonance.com. My name is Ken Stone. I'm a spiritual teacher, author, and healer. Shift from seeker to experiencer and open to the full expression of your divine potential.
Okay, there it is. There is the little ad for the class. Compelling, interesting. Does it inspire you? I'd love your feedback if you want to share that in the comments. Would love to understand how that hits you and anything else. If there are any questions coming up, I actually don't see any comments or questions. No one's checked in to say hi yet. So in the absence of that, I think what we should do, I'll wait for just a minute, but I think what we should do is sort of make a shift here from me putting on this 15 or 20-minute commercial for this upcoming free class to doing what God put me here to do, which is to open to this deeper experience of divine presence and to resonate, to explore, as we've been doing on an almost weekly basis now for the last year. Such an honor to sit with you in this way. Okay, I don't see any comments or questions coming up. let's make that transition now, shall we? Setting it all aside, then, energetically, emotionally, physically, and otherwise, with your eyes closed, breathing in and out through the nostrils, palms to the sky. As always, please don't operate a motor vehicle or heavy equipment of any sort during this or any time we're together. It's not safe to do so. You never know when you are going to drop out or fall asleep or whatever your experience of that is. And beyond that, it's so powerful to give yourself the gift of your own presence for you, which is certainly one of the things that can open up into the level of experience when we sit together in this way. With your eyes closed, breathing in and out through the nostrils, palms to the sky, if all of that is comfortable for you. Taking a deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before in this day, all the way out to the count of 8. Another deep breath in, hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the most recent solstice, all the way out to the count of 8. Another deep breath in, hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since you were born, all the way out to the count of 8. As you're letting go, I really invite you to let go of those things that you are most attached to, that you most wish for right now, or that you most think you need, or that you're most focused on creating or expressing. The deepest desires that you think, if they came to reality, it would all be perfect. What follows is an opportunity to come into a state or an experience, a space of divine presence. And when we set all those things aside, the opening is much larger and what expresses is more complete. Even if we can't speak of it, even if we don't understand it. Another deep breath in. Hold. As you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the inception of your soul, all the way out to the count of 8. With your eyes still closed, see the breath. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. Be the breath. See the breath of the planet and how it serves you and everyone. With each breath, you are connected to every single person on the planet by your breath. See the breath of the planet and see and notice and experience how the breath of the planet serves everyone and everything: the insects, the animals, the plants, the rocks, the fish, the water, the dirt. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything. And not just on the planet, for the breath of the planet becomes the breath of the cosmos. For at the very edge of our atmosphere, that breath touches space and in turn, eventually, every other aspect of creation. And so we can say, with each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout all of creation, including that energy that underwrites and expresses itself as everyone and everything. A light, perhaps originating at a tremendous distance on the other side of the cosmos, the divine itself. With each breath, it draws closer to you and closer to you, eventually close enough that you can perceive within it those twin frequencies that together comprise and express as the light, the frequency of the divine itself and the frequency of perfect health, not just as we understand or comprehend or experience it as human beings in the various ways that we're aware of, but every iteration, known and unknown. Where one of these energies is present, so too the other. And as you gaze out upon the cosmos, you see it all bathed in this extraordinary light, which eventually connects in at your nostrils and then into each of the smallest aspects of you on every level, known and unknown, be it a waveform or a particle. The invitation to each of the smallest aspects of you: come, return to your natural state of alignment and resonance, the artifacts of dissonance appearing to fall away and gather at that universal drain. For whatever remains in separation, I invite you to remove the universal plug. All do the same. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. And with each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout all of creation. The river is flowing. With your permission, let's begin. If you've never sat in session or in transmission with me before, you may be wondering, okay, what do I do now? Once you're here for a while, perhaps after a week or two or 10, the silence will begin to feel so freeing, for in it opens a deeper encounter with the divine. But if this is one of your first times, or you still prefer the words to the silence, you can just remind yourself anytime you want to hear something. You could even speak it out loud. With each breath, the river is flowing. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout all of creation. The energy underwriting it all, the divine, the light, the twin frequencies, eventually connecting in, the artifacts of dissonance falling away, that experience of resonance spreading throughout your entire being. The divine is becoming you, you are becoming the divine. The artifacts of dissonance appearing to exit the universal drain. The river is flowing. Or you could shorthand all of that. The river is flowing. The river is flowing. The river is flowing. Be the river. Be. If there's a part of you that's wondering, well, what can I be doing to support this experience? The answer, feel fully whatever is coming up. Experiences of resonance or dissonance, emotionally, physically, and otherwise. In fact, if you're up for it, feel them as fully as possible. So much so, perhaps you're even open to allowing the feeling, the sensation, if there is one, to become so saturated as to blot everything else out. Feel it deeply. Don't become identified with it. Just allow yourself to feel it, nor disconnect from it. Don't observe the feeling. What's happening here is, or one of the ways of describing what's happening is, there's a soul embodiment process going on. And it's a process of integration. It's a process of supporting the opening to a deeper experience of who you are. And one of the things that you are is your feelings, is your emotions, is the discomfort in your body. And perhaps you've focused on these in a way as to disassociate with them, to be the observer, to practice mindfulness. I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions. A powerful practice, to be sure, especially when disengaging with an identification with the disempowered and separate or unintegrated self. That's essential, important, profound, huge work. But here on the other end of that trajectory, that rainbow, as you come home in the body, there's an invitation not only to re identify, but to come to a place of deeper intimacy, to be all that you are. It's very difficult to open up to a being experience of divinity if we're holding at bay those experiences that we might associate or classify as human, the emotions, the experiences of suffering, physical pain, and so on. And so, what can happen in this dynamic is that that dissonance is transmuted because you allow yourself to feel it. And you can dip your toe in the water if you want. You can hold back and observe those sensations or feelings if it's more comfortable for you. And when you're ready, you can have a deeper experience of them. Come to a direct encounter with that emotion or that physical sensation. When you're ready, there's no rush. I mean, when you're ready in your life, it doesn't have to happen today. It can happen next week or 30 years from now. It's entirely up to you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's a wonderful wave of resonance moving through, not just at the level of the energetic or the spiritual, but also in the mirror of the body. I have an experience of that by the way that my intuitive guidance system gives me feedback. That is, my body, there are sensations, my hands and my feet start buzzing. I don't have any particular awareness of your specific experience of what's going on. I can feel or witness, if you will, what's going on in the collective. And if for you, you're thinking, well, wait a second, I'm not having that experience, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Literally, everything that I say has this much importance, tiny, tiny bit, if your eyes are closed like mine are right now, versus the experience, whatever it is, which has a huge level of importance from my perspective. There's nothing to compare it to, not with yourself, not with others. There's no way to get it right or wrong. Just allow it to unfold. Hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hmm. This feels like a wonderful place for us to begin wrapping up our time together for this week. So, when you're ready, not before, I invite you to begin returning the universal plug. I'll do the same as I begin bringing this transmission to a close. I just invite you to continue staying in the interior, eyes closed. If you're feeling drawn to disconnect, fine, of course, whenever that's right for you. But if you'd like to stay here, I'm not going to just abruptly end the video. We'll have a little bit of time. I'll open my eyes in a few minutes, and if anyone has checked in, if there are any questions, I'll respond. Beautiful. Plug all the way in now. Transmission to a close. I'm going to see if my eyes are going to work here and come and see what is coming in from folks in the circle. Um, Susan says, I like the video. It's short and to the point. Miracles, miracles flourish here, Susan. I didn't think I was capable of being short and to the point this way. So I appreciate the feedback. JR says the same thing. Great video, explains clearly your class and what you do. Thanks, JR. I appreciate the feedback. Yanya says, I can never get to your YouTube on time, the link where you have all your YouTube show up, but never the live call that's taking place. I'm sorry, Yanya. The way around that, and I think you've already registered for the class, is to add your name and email address, and then you'll actually get, I know you like Yanya, the day before on Tuesday each week, you'll get an email from me, and it will include the link to the class so you can participate in the direct class, in the Zoom class. The Zoom class will be live streamed onto YouTube, so you can show up here as well. And if you're like Yanya and you have a hard time getting or figuring out how to get to the video, one of the ways around that is to subscribe to my YouTube channel and then click the bell to be notified. So anytime I post a new video or go live, you get an email in your inbox, and there's a link. You can click the link, and it will take you straight to the live stream as that's unfolding. And the link again to, let me see if it's going to work. It is going to work. It's in the description of the video, but I'm going to put it up in comments here. The link to register for class, if you haven't already, is right there. It's my website, kenwstone.com/exploring hyphen divine hyphen resonance. Beautiful. Let's see if anything else comes in. What an honor it is to walk with you all. I'll put there's another way to get to that same thing, and it's just to go to, you don't even have to type www, just type exploringdivineresonance.com. It'll redirect you to that other page. It's right there on the screen right now. But what an honor it is to walk with all of you, to have this opportunity to sit together. I'll tell you, in January, I woke up on a Thursday morning and I thought, I really, really want to focus my time on YouTube in a way that feels deeply resonant to me. And one of the things that feels deeply resonant to me is when I am in a state of awe and wonder. And I know that I can be in a state of awe and wonder if I'm teaching something new that I'm inspired to teach. And that morning I sat down and I said, okay, God, what am I inspired to teach? What are you calling me to teach? And in came all these ideas. You can teach a class, you can make it free, you can broadcast it on YouTube, so there's no opt in required. You can do more than what you've done in the past. You can include membership. It's not really membership, but you get a login to the Resonance Institute, that my online learning platform. You can download all the classes. Anyway, I went through all these things. And then in the time since I received that inspiration, I touched base with my graphic designer and I said, Sharon, can you work up a graphic image so that I can put this together? And I put together the web page, and just everything feels like it's in a space of tremendous resonance. Like there's this wonderful opportunity here for all of us right now. And I feel like the best way to capitalize on that, for me at least, to be in this state of awe and wonder, is to facilitate, to teach this class, and to invite us to sit together in this deeper way, to take a step towards intimacy with the divine, and somehow do that in a group. It's very difficult for me to articulate succinctly, except maybe in the 60-second ad, about how that's possible. But the way I can say it right now is that is what I believe God does through me. The divine in me enlivens the divine in you. And whatever blah, blah, blah might come out of my mouth, I mean, maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. At some fundamental level, though, the most important part of it isn't what I'm saying. It's the experience that is unfolding and erupting in your being as you open up to a deeper experience of the divine within. And I just want to say what an honor it is to walk with you in your life and to sit with you in this circle. Here's a comment from Julie. This is fun. Warmed my heart in the midst of this Texas cold. Stay warm, Julie. I don't know how cold it's been getting in Texas. I've only noticed there have been some challenges with the power grid and so on. Here in Colorado, it was 30 degrees today, and that was a heat wave compared to the minus 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever it was, 15 below Fahrenheit. So it's an honor to have this opportunity to warm your heart, as you say. It's so beautiful to sit with you, Julie, and everyone in this circle. I just trust that in some way this our time together has opened a deeper experience of the divine, whether you can articulate it in that way, whether you can even put it into words right now, doesn't matter. Thank you for putting yourself in this circle, for sitting here, for opening and sharing this time with me, and for including me in your life. I'm looking forward to being back with you again next week for class number 1 in exploring divine resonance. And if you feel called, there's an opportunity to register for the class and get a little bit extra, as I've shared, or you can just subscribe here on YouTube or tune in. You don't even have to subscribe. It's all available for you on a weekly basis in whatever way you'd like to engage. However it is, honor to walk with you. Look forward to being with you again very soon. Bye for now, and peace. Thanks for being here today.